Welcome back to the podcast. This is Adibola, your host, and you're welcome to Dear Denyolua. This episode is going to be more of a question and answer session from the last episode we had. So let's dive straight into business. Okay, the first one is a suggestion. No, I'll call it a contribution. And it says, don't hate the devil so much that you begin to look like him. Don't hate your devil so much that you begin to look like him. This was given by Joshua, and he said so because there are sometimes we allow unforgiveness to lock in our hearts, and all it does to us is make us worse versions of ourselves, making us resemble the person that offended us. Because you're saying, I cannot forgive the person, I can't do this, I can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And gradually, you are looking like the person who offended you. So don't hate your devil so much that you begin to look like him. He also says, forgiveness is of more benefit to us than the other person. You can't go to God and find connection with a shaky heart. Unforgiveness is like cancer and it kills gradually. It is in the process of forgiving that God fights for you and vindicates you, especially if you are not at fault. And it is very glaring that such person offended you greatly, which is very, very true. There are sometimes you won't do anything, but you know that this person has wronged you. Let's just forgive the person. Along the line, you just hear that something happened to the person, not being a hater, but you hear that something happened to the person, maybe something that relates to what happened to you, or you just feel like God has fought for you enough to want to retaliate. So yeah, that is the benefit of forgiving. The first question now goes thus. Forgiving is being ready to be offended. Ow. Good. I'm very glad someone asked this question. I tried to iron it out in the last episode, but just because I didn't want the episode to be too long for our listeners, I decided to just drop it and maybe let them think on it. But now that someone has asked, I think I have to do justice to it. One thing I tell myself when I'm about to get into an association with a lot of people or just a group of people, I tell myself that you and these people or this person don't think alike. There are going to be friction. There's going to be friction in your pattern of thinking, in the way you guys relate and all of that. So if you think like this person, there will be issues. So just think that the person does not have sense. I'm sorry, no offense intended, but yes, that's the way I think, just to avoid problem. So when I see someone acting up, I'm like, well, that's your pattern of thinking. I won't get annoyed. That's kind of thing. So you just think that they don't think like you. So anything they do at that moment is seen as foolishness to you. Then what else do I do? When I'm just to prepare my heart to be offended, what I tell myself is, okay, I'm a very jovial person. So when I go out and I see some people frowning, all I think is, what is making you to frown? Fine, some people might say, what is making me to laugh? And all of that. So I tell myself, people are going through a lot. So anyone who gets annoyed by me, or anyone that tries to rub their bad energy on me, it's not going to work. Because I prepared my heart that anyone can bring their energy, bad, good, everything mixed, and try to push it to me. But I'm not allowing that. So you have already made up your mind that this thing, there's nothing you want to do. It's not going to get to me. So that's how to go about forgiving, making yourself ready to be offended. The second question is, how do you know you've truly forgiven someone? When I saw this question, I was also thinking like, Adebola, how do you really know that you've forgiven someone? Then I went to ruminate on it. I prayed about it and everything. And the answer that came to me was just like I've told you, like at the beginning, I mean in the last episode about that my friend and all of that. So what I discovered was I did not feel the urge to do my own back in clear terms. I didn't feel the urge to retaliate. So that is how you know that you've truly forgiven someone. You won't feel the urge to retaliate. You won't want to do your own back. You won't want to hurt the person again. Instead, who you see or what you see is a situation that has made you know the person better and see from their point of view. And who you see is someone whose point of view is very different from yours, but can also be related to your own pattern of thinking. This also now leads me to the next question. What role does communication play in the forgiving process? The role of communication in the forgiveness process is bringing to awareness of the person the hurt or how you felt about such happening. If you don't talk about it, those feelings, those hatreds, everything will continue to linger. And the person might not even know that they offended you. What communication does is it irons out all the rumpled parts of your conversation. I don't know if you get it. Take for example, you have a cloth. It is very, very rough. And in that state, one side cannot see the other. When you iron it out, everybody will be on the same page. Like the clothes will be looking all clean, sparkling, straight and all of that. Now one side can see the other side. So that is the same thing with communication. It helps you make things clear that, okay, this is what you did to me and I did not like it. Oh, I'm very sorry. I didn't know that this was the way it got to you. Because the person might intend something else to get to you, but their way of putting it forward got you annoyed and all of that. Let's take for example, you have a friend that you guys joke a lot, you do all of that and everything. Let's say the person now said something to tease you in their own mind, but it got to you as an insult. At that point, you'll be like, why is she leveraging on what I told her in confidence and all of that? So such thing can lead to you thinking otherwise. What you do now is, after you tell them, okay, I don't like what you did to me, I don't like the way you said this thing, I don't like, but oh, sorry, I didn't intend it that way, but if it got to you that way, I'm really sorry. Then everybody is on the same page now. So communication just makes things straight and allows you to see from the other person's point of view. What you might be seeing might not be what the person is saying, because if someone comes and asks both of you the story, you don't even know who the offender is, because both of you are offenders in that scenario. Because if I tell you my part of the story and the other person tells you their part of the story, and someone that is not involved in the whole palaver would begin to wonder, like, both of you are equally wrong. Just talk it out and see where the problem lies. So yes, that is the role of communication in the forgiving process. And even in any relationship at all, friendship, romantic relationship, anything at all. Okay, let me tell you guys this story. My roommates, as our last year, there was something that happened during the day, and then when we got home, I was thinking she was at fault. Like, why would we go out together, and when we are coming back home, you would leave me back and go on before me? I was just thinking like it doesn't make any sense. And I did not talk to her. She also did not talk to me because she thought I was angry with her or something. So she did not talk to her. I'm sorry, to me. I did not talk to her, and it kept lingering. We did not talk to each other. A day passed, 2 days, 3 days, and I was beginning to feel worried. Like, Joe, I know what you did not make sense, or what I did not make sense, but that doesn't warrant not talking to each other, and we live in the same space. Ah, so I called my friend and I told her, this is happening, this and that and that and that. Then she came. She happened to be our friend too. So she said, what's up with the both of you? Why are you guys not talking? I said my part of the story. She said a part of the story. And then everything came to light. I'm like, oh, so that was what you thought was happening. No, that was what I thought. Then, and that was how we just settled it. It was looking so serious till we talked about it. So that is just what communication does in any relationship at all. You and someone had a fight, you and someone had a misunderstanding, you and someone just were not on good terms. Communication can go a long way in straightening the creases. All right. So to the very last question, which is our third question, it says, in the process of forgiveness, do you need to separate yourself from the person? Should I answer the question? Okay. In the process of forgiveness, if you need to separate yourself from the person because such person is giving your mind a headache, or is toiling with your mental health, or is just making you feel somehow, please separate yourself. Separate yourself from the person. Though you love the person, you know that the person hurt you, you're forgiving the person, you've done all of that. But if you feel like talking to this person is not going to be of help, separate yourself. Separate yourself from the person. There are many things can be forgone. Your friendships, your relationships, and all of that. I'm not saying that should be our disposition to all of these things, but all these things can be forgone. But when you have a bad mental health and it lingers for a long time, it could lead to more complications, and those complications are very hard to treat, very hard to manage, very hard to cure. So it is better for you to have a safe space in your mind, to have a nice mental health, than to keep associating with someone who toils with your mental health on a daily basis or on a regular basis. Though we know that there are many categories of friendships: seasonal friends, we have platonic friends, we have your intimate friends and all of that. If you feel like talking to this person again, or living in the same space with this person, doing things with this person is going to mess with your mental health, please stay away from the person for a while. Maybe after some weeks, some months, a year or so, then if you feel like you are better and relating with this person can do you nothing, then you can go back to talking to the person. But if it's medicine with you, please let it go, because some things pass, and if you are trying to make them last longer than they should, it will lead to a lot of consequences you have to bear by yourself. So that's basically all of the questions that we have. I'm sorry this episode is as long as this. I thought it was going to be 5 minutes max, but here we have. So do have a nice day, have a nice time, and learn to forgive. That will be all on the series of forgiveness for now, until further notice if anything comes up. I'll see you in the proper episode. Bye.